Today we're talking time management and how to have more time. Most people, especially my age, so like about around the range of 18 years old, they believe that they don't have time, they can't really do much because they're just so busy, right? Well, today I'm here to tell you that this is mostly bullshit, right? So don't get this wrong. There are some people, like, I don't know, maybe 10% that are actually like busy. They don't have time because maybe they run a business. I actually know a person that's my age, and he does have like a side hustle, so he doesn't really have much time to like go outside and to do other stuff, right? Because he just has to work, right? But the overwhelming majority of people, right, so 90%, they just pretend to be busy, right? Like, they say that they don't have the time, but in reality they have like 3 to 4 hours every day of just time that they could spend on literally anything, right? I'm one of those people, but at least I don't pretend that I'm busy, right? So where does this come from? Why do so many people think that they're busy? This comes from poor time management, and this usually stems from social media, right? This is usually from social media. You sit on your phone, you scroll videos, you have like 7 hours of screen time, and that's why you don't have time for anything else, because, well, you just come back from school, it's like 3 or 4 p.m., and then you're just on your phone until like 7, 8, 9 p.m. And by then, well, you have to go to sleep in like 2 to 3 hours, right? So you don't have time for anything. Because me, I sleep more than my peers, right? Like, most of my peers, they go to bed at like, I don't know, 11 p.m., maybe like 12 a.m., and they wake up at 7, or they wake up at like 6, or they wake up in the middle of the night because they just can't sleep, right? Like me, I don't do that. I sleep from 9:30 to 6:30 every day, right? And I don't want to boast. I don't want to talk like I'm some very healthy, some superior guy, right? But I'm just saying that I sleep more than them. I go to sleep earlier than them, and yet I have time and they don't. This isn't a coincidence, right? Because my screen time isn't a lot. It's like 2 hours. Depends on the day, right? Depends on how many events the day has. If I have 2 workouts, I sometimes do. If I have 2 workouts, then I have less screen time, right? If I have a rest day, then my screen time is probably gonna be larger. It depends, right? So, social media is the reason for why most people don't have time, because they just scroll, they watch videos, they lie around, they do nothing, and then suddenly it's the evening and they think that they just don't have time, right? On top of this, right, like there's of course, like, there's the things like school, studying, shopping, whatever, right? But in reality, it's like 7 hours of screen time, right, which is like what a lot of people have. It's almost like a whole shift after 9 to 5. That's not good, bro. You know, if you can reduce that to just like 5 hours, you suddenly gain 2 hours of just time that you could spend on, I don't know, taking a walk, doing a workout at the gym, right, hanging out with your friends, literally whatever. But you just don't, because you have 7 hours of screen time, right? Which isn't good. It's not good. And it's not good to have that. So how do you actually fix that? How do you actually get more time? Well, of course, the point that I go back to on every single one of my videos is to meditate. Meditation will make you more aware of how you're spending your time, more aware of what time of day it is, right? And it will allow you to actually catch yourself when you're wasting time and actually put it towards something useful, right? So that's step 0. Step 1, or step 2, reduce your social media usage, right? Less SM means social media, by the way. Less social media, right? Because, well, if you spend less time on your phone, you're going to have more time for anything else, for everything else, right? This is step 2. But this is like only part of step 2, right? So how do you actually reduce social media? The way you reduce social media is that whenever you see yourself on your phone wasting time, and you notice it, you catch yourself, which you notice it more often when you do this, right? This is why it's step 0. So when you do this more, you will notice this more, which will allow you to, well, do this, right? You're going to be able to just push your phone away, go, I don't know, go prep some food for tomorrow, go for a nice walk, read a book, whatever, right? Do whatever you wanted to do but were procrastinating. And this leads us to another point, right? Procrastination. Procrastination. You procrastinate. You say you want to go to the gym, but instead of doing it right after school or even before school, you do it at like 7 p.m. Right? This isn't good, because the longer you wait to do your workout, the more likely you will be to not do it in the end because of some reason. Because maybe you were supposed to study before the gym, but you didn't really want to go to the gym, so you sat on your phone, but you actually didn't also study. So now it's 6:50 p.m. and you need to study, and you don't go to the gym. This isn't good, right? So you need to stop procrastinating. How do you stop procrastinating? Once again, this right here, okay? Because when you do this, you will be able to catch yourself procrastinating. And now what I also wanted to mention, right, is the power of momentum, right? Momentum. Momentum is very important, right? Because once you don't procrastinate, once you have those like events when you don't procrastinate, right? So you really didn't want to go to the gym, but you did anyway. That's like an event where you didn't procrastinate, right? And that's like a milestone. So once you've done that a couple of times, you will start to gain momentum, because that's like 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and then by 5, like this doesn't have to be 5, this can be like whatever number, this can be 15, this can be 25, it doesn't matter. But at some point, you're going to just be able to not procrastinate effortlessly, right? Like, I remember that one time, I wanted to go outside, right? Like, I just really wanted to go outside because there was this one place that I really wanted to explore because I've never been there before, right? Like, it's in my city and I've never been there before. And I just thought to myself, it's like what, 5 p.m, I have time until 8, so let's just go, right? And I went, and I actually found a pretty nice spot, which wouldn't have happened if I was right here, right? Right, because I'm here, right? I'm at this point because I've been here. I used to be here, right? And if you want to get to this point, you need to first be on this point, right? because that's how we're actually going to improve something, right? Like, you have to be patient because progress takes time, right? So that's how you actually start having more time. You don't need to time bend, you don't need to use some magic, you know, or I guess it is kind of magic, right? But you just need to do this, which will allow you to do this, less of this, and will build in momentum. And once you have momentum in regards of not procrastinating, in regards of not using social media, in regards of doing something when the first thought of doing that thing appears, right? So if you say, oh, I could go to the gym tomorrow, I have the time. So if that's your first thought and that's what you actually do, that's when you know you're in a real good place, right? But that doesn't mean you should stop, because this is here, right? This thing here, it's nice, but there is even more over there, right? It doesn't stop, it doesn't cap out at like this point right here. It goes on till here and further away, right? So when you're at a point where you follow the first thought of doing something productive, you don't start coming up with like excuses of like, oh yeah, I do have the time, but there's also like this thing, and I think I'm gonna be really tired after school, and maybe I don't have the time, maybe I will need to study, right? Like, no, your first thought was to go to the gym in that 2-hour window you have, or even like 1.5 hour window, and just go, right? Like, back to the example I showed you, right? Like, I had like 2 hours before, I did 3 hours before 8 p.m. and I just went, right? Like, I cycled, and like, it was like, what, 10 kilometers, right? It takes like half an hour of cycling, right? So you would think that, oh, but then there is me getting prepared for the cycling trip, and there's me cycling, then I need to spend some time there, then maybe I'll take a break in between, then I have to go back, then I have to redress and go to the gym like in the evening, and then I have to do this and that and this and that. So instead of overthinking about all of this, which would cause me to procrastinate and in the end fall into this 90%, I just followed my first thought and I went, and it was a positive experience 100%, right? So that's really all from me. You do this, which allows you to do this, less of this, and you build momentum. And once you build momentum, then it's pretty much just automatic. If you ever fall out of the habit, if you lose momentum, right, then just keep doing this, get back to this, boom, right? You can always start over. So that's everything from me. Sleep well, do better, and I'll see ya.